Hello and welcome to a lockdown version of the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street, hashtag Barclay Street for all you groovers out there. I know you like to get involved on the socials. It is my weekly pleasure to welcome my co-pilot, Easton Wood, father of Laverne and Shirley, but you actually do have kids. Legitimate children that probably deserve the rightful pegging as your children. So I might just completely step away from that faux pas. And welcome you to the podcast, Easton.
Great start, Bobo.
Hey, look, I know this is our fourth lockdown in Melbourne. I'm not sure what number it is for you, Easton, but we just got to be kind to one another. We're all making adjustments on the fly. How are you, man? What's going on? We're doing our best.
No, going well, Bobo. We've been fortunate that we've been able to continue to train through the lockdown, so that's been great. There's about a small satellite group of about 13 or 14 of us back in Melbourne, a mixture of the non-playing players and rehab. So we've got a good little crew and enjoying training with the boys.
So how does that kind of work? What's what's a regular day for you kind of look like at the moment? Is it, what staff are back here and how does it all sort of work? You just go to the club and it's sort of business as usual, I suppose?
Yeah, pretty much it is, but just a real skeleton crew. So everything's just kind of stripped back. So we've got the two coaches in Jamie Maddox and Trav Vacco, and so they're doing all the drills and organising the training. And then we've got a couple in the gym and a physio and a couple of Myers, and that's it. And then just the 13 or 14 of us doing our thing. So it's been quite odd being separated from the group in such a stark. It happened pretty instantly to get the boys out of there to be able to get to Sydney so they could then play in Perth. So we're just, as you have to, we're just kind of adapting on the fly and taking it kind of as it comes. But it's been good. The boys have been able to keep it, whilst being disappointed to be separated from the group. Guys have kept a pretty good perspective having gone through a few things with COVID now. So
are you
just
finding
taking it as it comes, mate?
Are you finding yourself really sort of having to go above and beyond trying to look after that sort of satellite group? Because rehab can be hard, feeling isolated anyway. And that's with everyone in the same building. So it must be pretty surreal training at the footy club this week with, the rest of the gang up north preparing for this week.
But it is. So we're looking after each other quite well. I mean, I think what the guys do have and have gained really well is we've got good perspective. So, you take certain guys that have, would be frustrated. Like you think of Toby McLean, who is coming back from his knee and was slated to play his first game in almost 12 months. And then the VFL gets cancelled and he can't play. So there's that big build up. And that's just one example of, what kind of frustration there is. But I mean, we're just happy to be training out there together, mate. As we know, lockdown's hard on everyone, and we're fortunate to actually be able to still go to work and be there and kick a ball around. So, what's lockdown look like for the Murphy household?
Well, actually, I would almost. If the computer
just rug up, beanies on.
Well, turn the heater off, rug up. I've got
save on those utilities.
I've got Jarvis literally 1 metre to my left doing his year 8 homework. He says he's doing homework. I hope he's doing that.
Boy.
So a bit of homeschooling, mate. Trying to keep the dogs active. Actually, pets are pumped. How happy are pets right now?
It's the best scenario, isn't it?
Pets could
get everybody home.
If pets could march in the streets, it would just be like lockdown. Here we go, lockdown. They are banging for lockdown. How's Laverne? How is the old string?
Laverne's actually doing surprisingly well. I was quite sore when it happened and had some. It's never good when you're with a hamstring when you're walking sore for a few days. That normally that's not a great sign. So I was a bit disappointed with that. Or as you do as an athlete, you project the worst case scenario of, this is going to be a bit longer than what I probably thought. But it's turned really quickly. I've had 2 speed sessions so far. I actually joined in all of training yesterday and was pretty much unrestricted. So if there was a game next week, I think the bye is slated for next week, but I'm not sure what's happening there. But I could be available for next week.
Hard to predict schedules at the moment.
Continues to go well.
A bit of a fluid theme.
Schedule roulette at the moment.
yeah. You wouldn't absolutely pin all your hopes on it. What did you make of the game against the Demons? Were you at the game? Were you there live? Were you at home? What was your vantage point?
I was sitting on the couch watching. We weren't able to attend. So another disconnect, which is very odd. I've not watched many games from the couch, so that was a bit odd. And as you know, it's very difficult to get a read on the game for how it's expanding and what's actually causing what you're seeing, where the ball is, why that's, I suppose, transponding. So obviously Melbourne must have defended incredibly well to be able to shut down what's been a real weapon of ours, our movement of the ball from half back. And so that was quite, credit to Melbourne and impressive to see them be able to take that away from us. But as I said, the boys have been away, so I haven't been a part of a review, so I'm not even sure.
I was about to ask
even to go into the finer detail.
You're just avoiding the question. You're just avoiding the tough questions for Barclay Street. I don't know. I wasn't at the review.
Me boring questions, Bubba.
I didn't see it, Your Honour. I was watching Jimmy watching the bull ant. Is that right?
Great chopper reference. Well played.
Is it true that Bevo took his guitar up to Sydney?
There have been whispers. So where there's smoke, I suppose there's fire.
Where's his skills at?
We have heard him play before. He's learning, but what would you say? His energy and his devotion is quite high. He's playing and he's having a great time.
He's enthusiastic.
He's enthusiastic as they come, which is great. I think he only started playing last year. So he's quite late to the party with the old guitar, but he's having a crack, which is awesome. So we'll have to try and see if we can coax him to pull it out around the campfire at some point. I really would get around that.
I had a mate who's like a proper musician, and he heard me doing some Pox singing on the radio, and he said, "Yeah, look, you're not very good, but you're very confident." And he kind of it's like,
backhanded compliment. That's nice. Well done. You're good.
You're not very good, but you're very confident. That's half the battle. Like, okay, feels like the wrong half.
You do well in a footy club. He's king of the backhanded compliments footy clubs.
A couple of RFIs there, but I'm looking to improve next week. How are Tiff and the kids? What's happening at home? What are you watching? How are you keeping yourself busy at night?
We just started watching Mayor of Easttown. Oh my God.
We just finished.
What a show. We haven't been hooked on something for a while, and to take the listeners into what life is like at home with us, we've got 2 kids under 2, so we are in bed by 9:30. That's our latest, absolute latest.
Yeah,
but I think we watched the first episode last night, and we had to keep going until I think we got chewed through 3. Which was unheard of for us. We were in bed. We probably went to bed till 10:30, 11, which is a world record. And feeling it this morning.
It's one of the most satisfying shows I've watched in a long, long time. Really loved every minute of it.
So if you haven't had a look at it, go and have a look. It's quite dark, but it's just unbelievably well written, well produced. It's just beautiful storytelling, and I'm hooked. Can't wait for the next.
You almost don't have to give the warning that it's pretty dark, because any TV show these days that's any good, it's like, it's dark. It's dark. Yeah. True. So, now we're lost because
What's next?
We've finished Mayor of Easttown. So, when you finish a good book or finish a show, there's a mourning period for it.
Absolutely.
We're in a bit of that phase. So now I'm just waiting for Jack Irish to kick off in about 9 days. But I need something in between then. Hey, let's have a quick break because we finally got our man, Cody Weightman, to agree to come on the podcast after he's made some financial demands to come on the show. It's been quite a toing and froing between our management at Barclay Street and Cody's management, but we have struck a 1-episode deal. So for an undisclosed, with an option, for an undisclosed amount. So let's have a little quick break, and we'll be back with The Flea. Welcome back to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street. Very, very excited, Easton and I are this week to welcome this young star to our podcast. We finally got him onto Barclay Street, Cody the Flea Weightman. Cody, welcome to Barclay Street, mate. It is an absolute pleasure to get you on. How are you, man?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's great to be a part of this.
So what's going on? Where are you at? How's the week been? It's a crazy old time we're living through, but walk us through the week. How's it all played out for you and the team?
Yeah, so Sydney came about pretty last minute, really. So currently in my Sydney hotel room, just chilling out. Got a day off today, so putting the feet up and somewhat getting ready for Sunday. But Sydney. So looked like WA for a lot of the time, and then next minute we're in Sydney with a little bit less restrictions. So it's been a good move in the end.
Have you got a roommate there, or have you got the place to yourself?
No, solo rooms, which is good. I think I'm a bit of a snorer, so probably someone else.
All right, okay. So it must have been was it pretty strange, having the possibility of just uprooting yourself straight away. Young fella like yourself, it might be a little bit easier than guys with families, but then the switch to Sydney, happy to be going to Sydney with a bit more freedom.
Yeah, I think just being able to get out for a couple of hours and cruise around. I haven't done a lot of Sydney, so just being able to go out and explore this city. It's a beautiful city, so I think Sydney's been a good move. And like you say, it's probably tricky for some guys with families and stuff, and coaches and staff as well, but as a younger fella, it is a little bit easier to leave home, where I haven't really settled in since moving out of home. So, but I've only been in the city now in Melbourne for probably a year or so. So leaving there is not too tricky for myself. But it's certainly a different lifestyle again, living in the hotel.
For sure. So what restrictions are you actually under their codes? It's not just free reign, is it?
No, not free reign at all. No. So similar to Victoria, we've still got the 5 kilometre bubble masked at all time when we're outside of our rooms. Just basically Victorian rules, but living in Sydney at the same time.
What's
if it was Perth, it was going to be... Sorry, Bobo.
No, you go, mate.
I'm just going to say, because if it was Perth, was it going to be that you weren't allowed to leave the hotel room at all? Was that going to be the strict quarantine there?
Yeah, so Perth would have been, literally what I'm doing now, sitting in the room and waiting for Sunday to come along. So to be able to just get our 2 hours to explore and exercise and whatnot, it's been a massive win. And obviously we're able to train in and out of this time, but
How upset was Jack McRae when the decision was made to go to Sydney so he couldn't just stay in his hotel room? And was he devastated to be given 2 hours compulsory outside exercise?
Yeah, he stayed in his room still. Don't worry about that. Straight in the game.
Bobo, I think he might be exactly like the dogs of lockdown. He would actually love and get out there and parade with all the pets just to say, let's keep lockdown. Because he doesn't have to see anyone. He doesn't have to make up excuses. He just gets to sit home.
No more frown. Lockdown. No more frown. Lockdown. Cody, you'd sort of be a little bit sort of not naive, but the history between the Bulldogs and the Giants, the rivalry goes, back, before certainly before you got to the footy club, goes quite a way back. There was a very troubling photo yesterday of the Bulldogs training at Giants headquarters. Can you confirm that was a doctored photo? Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, no Photoshop involved there. That was legitimate. A little bit strange. A few of the older fellas in particular, I weren't sure what was going on with their surroundings being orange and black or whatever. So, different experience, but we're grateful that we're able to use their facilities because obviously AFL type facilities, which are harder to come by in Sydney.
What's within your 5K radius? Are you able to get to in the water up there, or is it out of reach?
Nah, the beach is, I think, just out. Well, from what I've explored anyway. I think we're right in the CBD of Sydney, so there's quite a lot. But obviously, takeaway coffees is pretty much our limit, and takeaway food. Okay. So we can't really explore any of the lovely shops or anything around here. But yes, there's still some really nice tracks to walk, and I think the harbour and stuff is in our range.
Yeah, Cody. So someone tipped me off that one of your hobbies is painting surfboards. I'm curious about that, but I am also curious, are you a legitimate surfer, or do you just sort of play on the fact that, if I maybe look like a bit of a surfer, it might help in other areas of my life. And if I...
Bobo, how dare you? He's agreed to come on the podcast. Hey, you're giving him the whack already. Of course he's a surfer. You can't be questioning him like this.
I'm just asking
don't take this. Tell him where to go, Coates.
I do enjoy my surfing. I'm certainly not going to stare at you and say I'm a gun or anything, but I love surfing.
But you can stand up. Yep.
Yeah, I can stand up. We can confirm that.
So there we go.
Yeah.
This is good. This makes me feel better. This is what people want to know.
About the painting. I enjoy my art as well. It's something else that I've sort of use as something that I like to do outside of football, and combine the two, particularly last pre-season, I think. And on the way back from the harbour, we had the truck, and I stacked it with about 5 or 6 surfboards. So brought them home and then painted them up, and
so we've got a surfer and a painter here. I mean, I'm clearly a writer and a singer of some repute. Easton, what's your artistic?
Where's this going to?
What's your artistic flair, Easton? What are
you? Yeah. Look, Bobo, I've been working on it. I wouldn't say I have zero creativity, but it's not far off. I haven't scratched those itches for a very long time.
I thought that was an opportunity
to play the guitar.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. I would have thought you were going to go the Lego route there of...
but that's not creative. That's me following an exact manual.
Do you never make your own bits? Oh, golly.
No, I'm strictly... No. I follow instructions. There's no deviating from the plan, Bob. There's none of that.
If you want to look into the psyche of your teammate there, Cody, that's a pretty clear picture. He sticks to the formula and the rules, mate. Hey, Cody, can I ask you, so your form this year, I really want to talk about that and how exciting you've been for me and for all footy followers, really, not just Bulldog supporters. But how important was the taste you got of senior footy last year?
Yeah, I think super important. Just to be able to go into another pre-season knowing what the level was and where I had to get. I felt like probably last year in those games I learnt a stack just about my sort of psychological approach to the game and stuff, even more than the physical side, which obviously at an AFL club, the more time you spend there, you're going to get physically more conditioned to the level. But yeah, I felt like I went away in the off season and did a heap of learning and stuff, and just focused on the way I approach the game. And that, I feel like that's been my main change this year in the way I actually think and approach my pre-game and stuff like that. And that's probably what's given me, I guess, the best chance and to be able to perform. Yeah.
I'm really interested by that because when I see you play, you seem to have been able to capture and hold on to the pure joy of the game. And joy is not often a word you use with a lot of league footballers are sort of racked with concentration and worry and stress about doing the thing for the team. But you've obviously put in enough work off the field and following the game plan and the fitness and the strength and all of those things, so that when the actual game starts, you can play with a sense of freedom. Does that kind of ring true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think particularly in the ones, it's a strange position with knowing that so many people are watching and stuff, and you can take it quite serious and probably worry yourself out of it a little bit. That's probably what I did last year at times, to be honest. Probably just got a bit anxious and a bit worried about more consequential stuff that I couldn't control in the future, such as like being dropped and stuff like that. And I was probably more consumed by worrying about stuff like that than just being present and enjoying the game for what it is. And I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head with being able to do the work and understand the game styles and the game plans that we need to execute, and just having that on an autonomic sort of system so that you can come out and enjoy footy on the back of that. So I think if you're focusing on those things and spending your time doing a lot of that and not playing just on instinct and natural, for me, that's when I'm probably not playing my best footy. So to be able to put a lot of time into making sure I'm ready, and then I can just sort of get out there and just use my energy and just have a bit of fun with it.
It's pretty incredible.
Coach, it's a
real achievement, isn't it, Ethan?
Absolutely, mate. And it's been a real pleasure to watch Cody over these 2 years of how hard he's worked. Now, Coach, you mentioned a couple of times there about your focus with your training and your preparation. Could you take us into a little bit of what you've really honed in on your game? From watching you develop, I've really seen a huge growth in you understanding about focusing your stuff on what you're training at the club during the week, about how that's going to translate out onto the field. I think a lot of guys can get lost in different things that don't necessarily help their game, but it seems like you've really worked hard with the coaches of understanding what your game is and what you're going to need to do during the week to translate to having the impact that you're having at the moment out on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. I think since getting to the club, working really close to Jamie Maddox and Travi Varco this year, it's been really good for me. I probably, when I first got to the club, I was a little bit erratic and wanting to try and do a bit of everything. And I thought that was probably the best method to, try and outwork everyone and get there that way. And I think for some people it possibly is, but I think I was probably treading water a little bit, and I was probably laying a good foundation when I was doing that, because I was getting strong in the gym, getting better touch out in the green floor and stuff. But once I sort of figured out how to narrow in my focus and a bit more target specific my game, I feel like I've had much more better gains come on the back of that. And it probably just comes from a bit of maturity, really, just to be able to take a breath and trust a bit of the process, rather than, I think when you're young and you're sort of trying to do everything because you want it to work so badly, it's hard to take a back step and let it happen. And so, just over the past 18 months while I was at the club, I think it probably comes down to just maturing a little bit, focusing on the core fundamentals of my game that'll give me a chance to have a solid game every week. And hopefully there's weeks where you'll have your solid game that turns into a better game just because that's the way the ball tumbles that week. But as a small forward, it's a bloody tricky position at times. And if you don't give yourself the chance just to have a solid game, it can be pretty dour at times.
Music to my ears, mate. I'm sure music to a lot of the supporters out there and young footballers, both boys and young girls. There's a lot of wisdom beyond your years, my friend. Hey, East, have you got a couple of fan questions there you've got for Cody before we go into our Barclay Street trio of stock questions?
Yeah, Coach, you've been very popular, mate. The lines have lit up coming through the socials. We've got a question here from Kyra. She's keen to know how you got the nickname Flea.
Yeah, so Flea comes from Cody Weightman, who played for Richmond. So coming through my juniors, a lot of the time the coaches would call me Flea and the kids would be like no idea who Flea was. And so it never really stuck. But then I think once I've become a footballer at the Dogs, I think the older demographic sort of caught on, and I sort of tried to base my game a little bit around being a pest as well, and it sort of kicked off.
See, I'm confused by this. So I thought you were called Flea because you can jump your own height without having to take a run up.
So we'll go with that.
I think when you talk about the older brigade, I'm the oldest. I think second oldest at the club, and I had no idea who was it. Daryl Weightman. Sorry, Dale.
Dale. A legend for Richmond.
Did you just say Daryl Weightman?
I think you did.
Wow. I guess that it displays my point exactly.
I'm so embarrassed right now. On behalf of Dale.
Sorry, Dale. If you're listening, Dale, I'm sure you are. Apologies, mate.
One of my all-time heroes, Dale Weightman. Let's move on from that one very quickly. That's
all right. Well,
mortifying.
Moving on. Apologies, Dale. Moving on to Joey. Joey's wants to know who's the most annoying in the change room, and what are their habits that really grind your gears, mate?
My housemate Riley Garcia, he's pretty good at being annoying. He actually deliberately approaches life that way, I think, which is a testament to him. I love the annoyingness though, so it's good to bounce off him and sometimes hunt together in terms of our annoyingness.
Yeah, I like that. Get around that, and he's not alone. There's plenty of pests within the locker room, so we could talk about that for a long time. But the last one, they've written in here about who's got the better mullet, you or Norts, and I think there could be a few extra on that list. But yeah, they want to know about the haircut there, mate. How's it going, and what's the inspiration, and is it the best?
No, I'll give it to Norts. He was first, and mine sort of ended up being a mullet, but I don't know what I was doing really at the start, and it's just gone this way. So
it is what it is.
We'll, see how long it lasts. I might have to get rid of it soon, but
it's kind of a mullet.
Keep it going, mate. It's very popular. The mullet, it's come back with a vengeance.
It has. Yeah,
and sure. Norts has got such volume in his. He looks like a Groodle.
Yeah.
Big volume, big bounce.
It's a real mane, isn't it? More than
very much.
Yeah. Hey, Cody, we ask 3 stock questions on the Barclay Street podcast. I don't have to tell you because I know you subscribe. I know you listen every week religiously. Someone told me you listen to some of the episodes twice just to really absorb it, which I know a lot of people out there like to do.
Avid listener.
You've actually been described as a Barclay Street buff, which is interesting. We take it as a great compliment, mate. Means a lot to us, so thank you for that. What was the movie that terrified you as a young child?
Oh, see, this is a tough one for me. I didn't actually watch a lot of movies growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't be able to give you one right now.
Is there any movie that's scared you? Or Is
it Wolf Creek? Is that one?
Oh, yeah, geez, it's certainly one.
Got me. Yep. I watched that way too young. That got me.
There you go. That'll get you at any age.
That will do. I saw that at the cinema, and 10 people, like half the audience, got up and left when it. Because the first 45 minutes is kind of it's ominous and building, and then the blackout, and then the scream. People just up. I'm out. And just left. So that definitely counts, Wolf Creek. The second one, did you watch the Chicago Bulls documentary, The Last Dance? And if you did, if you take Michael Jordan out of it, which character were you most sort of interested by?
Yeah, I definitely watched that. Loved it too. Probably Dennis Rodman.
Okay, there you go. Another one for Dennis.
Really enjoyed Dennis.
Okay, we'll click another one on for Dennis, and you've got the last and our favourite question that we like to ask all of our guests.
It is the great Archie Salek, who's the nickname aficionado of the Bulldogs. As we remember, I'm Western, obviously for East and West, and Murphy's Dan for Dan Murphy's. Now the question is, Flea, has he graced you with a nickname yet? We had Mara on the other week, and he hadn't given him one yet. So have you been fortunate enough to be graced with the nickname?
Yeah, I have actually. And he's made a late change, which is huge.
That's not his thing. He doesn't change. He sticks to it for years.
He had a miss. He had a swing and a miss, to be fair, when I first got to the club. He was running with passcode to me, and no one sort of got it. I think Cody and then I transitioned into.
So he's given you passcode, hasn't been feeling it, and he's given you another one. He's moved on.
Yeah, now we're running with 1919, which is the passcode, and it's also 2 of my number.
Oh God! So he didn't actually give up on the passcode. He's stuck on the same. He's stuck on the same track at least. That's fantastic! You gotta love it.
He gives it heaps. 1919.
That's his go-to. We got to get Arch on, Bobo. We got to get Arch on.
Oh, I'm just so really satisfied by that passcode into 1919. Hey, Cody, thanks so much, mate. You've been really generous with your time. I know it's your day off up there, and you guys have got plenty going on in your world, but we really appreciate it. I'm sure the supporters appreciate it. We genuinely love what you're bringing to the team, mate. We can see how much your teammates appreciate it on the field. But to see a young bloke come in and play with such joy for the game and joy for his teammates and wanting to help the team, it does mean a lot to us, mate. Especially those of us who've worn the jumper in years gone by. We just love it, mate. So keep it up. Get us a win this week and safe travels, my friend. We'll see you on your return.
Yeah, Ripper. Thanks, Bob. Cheers, Woody. It's great to chat.
Yeah, on your codes. Great stuff, mate.
1919.